It may come as no surprise to you that video game developers and movie producers like to hide throwbacks to their favorite movies, songs, or art in their content, but the number of nods to famous phrases, lyrics, and more in Apex Legends is mind-blowing. I feel like almost every banner name or pose has some kind of secret reference, but there are some that are more noticeable and perhaps more deliberate. So let's take a look at some of the biggest pop culture references hiding in Apex Legends. We'll start with this rose-colored Legends loading screen, first spotted by Reddit user DagoYT. This loading screen was a still taken from the Apex Legends Season 3 cinematic. It almost perfectly matches the same scene in Edge of Tomorrow and is perhaps the most noticeable moment in the Apex Legends cutscenes that references another movie. We haven't officially heard a statement from any developers on this scene, so whether it was just used for inspiration or it was added purposely as a tribute to Edge of Tomorrow is unknown. Next, we're going just a minute back in the same trailer with yet another moment that draws some impressive similarities to a famous scene in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This Octane scene as he's jumping on a geyser in the Season 3 trailer may seem familiar to some Spider-Man fans.
That's all it is, Miles. A leap of faith. Like, what's up, danger? Like, what's up, danger?
The Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse scene was confirmed by the animators that worked on the scene to be something they envisioned when creating it for Apex Legends Season 3, so maybe not a direct reference, but certainly heavily inspired by the scene. Next up, we're moving on to more subtle pop culture references. These are the kind of voice lines, text, costumes, and dialogue moments you may miss out on unless you're paying close attention. The first of which is a Bangalore line when she throws her ultimate.
Come on in, old Painless is waiting.
The quote is inspired by the 1987 movie Predator, a classic action movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Sergeant Blaine Cooper says the line whilst carrying an M134 minigun, which was affectionately named Old Painless. Blaine Cooper has gone down as a cult classic character with more than just one popular catchphrase. His most famous catchphrase was the classic line, "I ain't got time to bleed." Next up, we have a voice line from Mirage as the announcer during the recent Winter Express limited time mode. Mirage has all sorts of quirky and humorous voice lines that play out during the event, so definitely listen out if you're looking for a laugh. However, it's one of Mirage's voice lines that triggers when a player gets first blood that catches my attention.
First blood? No, that was the scary Halloween voice. Let me try my Santa voice. First blood! Nailed it.
Whilst Mirage states that he was trying to mimic the scary Halloween announcer, also known as Revenant, I can see a much better similarity to one of the most popular video game announcer sounds in history.
First blood. First blood!
This original sound was used in Unreal Tournament 1999, but it has since been reused in many games. It's commonly used in Counter-Strike community servers, but it's also used in Dota 2 and is often heard all over the internet. Hearing it in Mirage's voice lines was a surprise, but definitely a nice homage to the games that founded the first-person shooter genre. Many players have noticed how Mirage sort of looks like Guy Fieri, and even if he doesn't look exactly like him, his wins badge certainly does. It seems like the developers of Apex Legends played with the ongoing joke that's shared on Reddit when developing Mirage's Season 3 Battle Pass skin. Suitably named Fired Up, Mirage is donning the same kind of clothes that Guy Fieri was famous for wearing. Funnily enough, Guy Fieri wore this shirt one time during a barbecue, and he never wore it during his countless episodes of Diners, Drive-Ins and Dives, or any other program he has featured in. In a podcast, Guy Fieri mentioned how much he disliked the t-shirt because so many fans come to him to ask him to sign a picture of him wearing the shirt. Either way, it's become a cult classic image, and there's definitely a resemblance with the Mirage Fired Up skin. Next, we have the first of many small subtle nods to pop culture sensations with the Series 1 ranked badge. Named You're Tearing Me Apart, this badge is clearly named in a punny way to reference the scene in the movie The Room, where Tommy Wiseau shouts out, "You're tearing me apart, Lisa."
You are lying. I never hit you. You are tearing me apart, Lisa.
Despite being an absolute classic movie and internet sensation, the reason it got so much attention was simply because it was such a terrible movie. But somehow it won the hearts of the world due to how bizarre it all was. There have been countless references to The Room since its growth to fame on the internet, and there has even been a Hollywood movie made about The Room called The Disaster Artist, featuring and directed by James Franco. The movie was a success with a 91% Rotten Tomatoes rating. If you didn't know already, Legends will shout out a variety of different quotes when you press the H button on PC. These quotes are tagged as celebration quotes, but no voice line is quite as much of a celebration as one of Pathfinder's, which quotes the absolute classic song of the same name by Kool and the Gang.
Let's all celebrate and have a good time. Celebration.
Sometimes Mirage says some weird stuff. I mean, really, there's a lot of weird Mirage voice lines. He's a little strange at times, and this next quote at first glance may seem like the weirdest of all Mirage voice lines. When you ping a jump pad, a rare voice line may trigger where Mirage says this.
Jump pad here. We can fly like an eagle to the sea. Or just jump.
The line, "You can fly like an eagle through the sea," sounds awfully strange until you realize it's a direct song lyric quote from a song by Steve Miller Band called Fly Like an Eagle. Next up, we have a very small nod to a classic song of a similar name. One of Caustic's banner poses is called Hard Knock's Life, which I'm quite sure is making a reference to a popular song called Hard Knock Life, a song from a musical called Annie.
It's the hard knock life for us. It's the hard knock life for us.
This same line has been rephrased and reused through dozens of projects, whether it's Jay-Z's platinum single of the same name, which sampled the song, the hilarious UK comedy movie Austin Powers in Goldmember, or the 2014 movie remake called Annie. Next up, we have a line that Revenant said during the Fight or Fright limited time mode as the announcer. For those unaware, Apex Legends shares the same universe as Titanfall 2, but there have been a very small number of cross-references between the two games. However, during the limited time mode, Revenant will occasionally say nowhere to run, nowhere to hide as the ring closes in. It may seem like a pretty common phrase with little meaning behind it, but with the way it is phrased, it's almost identical to the same line from the Titanfall 2 campaign shouted out by Viper, a member of the Apex Predators. It's perhaps Viper's most iconic catchphrase.
First blood. Nowhere to run. Nowhere to hide.
Voodoo 1, Viper's on station. Your journey ends here, pilot. The skies belong to me. Nowhere to run. Nowhere to hide.
With Viper's Titan adorning the Apex Predator logo, which quite perfectly matches Revenant's own face painting, it makes sense there is a connection here. Some say it's just a reference added by the developers to pay homage to their previous title, but some have gone as far as to say that Revenant may actually be Viper. It's well known that Revenant is a simulacrum. In the Titanfall universe, simulacrums are robotic bodies that contain the memories of a pilot. Simulacrums will often wear things such as headgear or clothes to help identify with their past. Whilst Revenant does wear a neckcloth similar to Viper's, the colour is certainly different, so it's hard to say whether Revenant could be Viper or not. Next we have Crypto's Halloween banner pose, which may seem like a typical vampire style animation, but some Reddit users, such as Call Me Fred, believe it to be a direct reference to the same scene in a very old 1922 silent film that featured a vampire called Count Orlok. So that brings me to the end of my video. Chances are there are dozens more movie quotes, song lyric references, and other pop culture nods hidden within Apex Legends, with the game featuring hundreds, if not thousands, of unique voice lines, tons of text, and plenty of artwork. There's no doubt that Respawn has hidden their favourite art, movies, and songs into Apex Legends to show their love for their favourite content. To us, it's a nice moment when we notice these references, but to the people who created this game, placing them in there and putting it into the world is almost like a way to say thank you to those that gave them inspiration to create the game we all love today. Have you noticed any other pop culture references hiding in Apex Legends? If you have, make sure to share them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. We are so close to 100,000 now, and it'd be incredible if we could hit it before the end of the year. Thanks so much for all the support. The growth we've had on this channel this year has been absolutely insane, and I really cannot wait for next year. I feel like Apex Legends as a game is just getting started, and 2020 is going to be a really good year for the game. I'm I'm sure EA and Respawn are going to be putting in a lot of effort to get us a lot of content, so make sure to subscribe because I'm going to be covering it every single day on this channel. Before we go, I'd like to ask you to leave a comment sharing your favorite video on this channel because I've covered so many different types of content. I've done kind of lore content, I've done trending topics like top badges, top rare skins, I've done guides, I've done gameplay, I've done news. But what has been your most memorable video that you've watched on this channel? It really helped me to know what you like the most. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the comments. Cheerio!